Hey there, sweet friends. Welcome back. I hope you are all well. We're going to be working on this banner today, and I have made so many banners in the past. Every year, I do feel compelled to add one more layer, one more embellishment, or one more dimensional item. And so this year, I decided I was going to simplify that. I want to make this easier to create and faster, and I want to utilize some of the sticker sheet that comes with the collection to provide me with some focal images. And I think this was a lot of fun to create, and it will be beautiful displayed in your home for the holidays. So we're working with the Chillin' with My Snowmies collection today. This is from Echo Park, and not only does it have really bright, cheerful pattern paper, it has some super sweet, whimsical images as well. And so we're going to be utilizing a few from that sticker sheet to layer on top of our mittens on the banner. And for those mittens, I will be using this die from the Scrap Diva Designs. If you don't have this one, I will link a template that I found on Pinterest. It has quite a few different varieties and different sizes, and so you could print that and then cut it out and trace it to use as a template. The less detailed the template, the easier it will be to trace. I'm going to be using this on the rooftops die from Fawn, and this has a lovely little scalloped edge with a stitch detail, and we're going to use that to create some cuff on the top of the mitten. And then for the actual banner sections, I have a set of nested arch dies, and so this is a pretty simple set. I think you could find one easily on Amazon if you don't already have one. And then I just picked a size that I thought would work well for layering on those other embellishments. And so, of course, you do want to have the back of this to be super sturdy. When it's hanging and displayed, you don't want it to get misshapen. And so I have cut 2 of these for the largest size of the arch die. And this is 110-pound cardstock. And so it is already pretty sturdy, but layering another layer on top will improve that. And so I will be using my 2 glue combo. And I'll just join these together at the corner and make sure that it's straight and even along the back and the side. So now I want to flip that over because this is the orientation that I plan to work with. And so I do have a layer of that pattern paper. I'm going to work with all blues for this one, but you could easily switch this out for a more traditional palette. And I do want to continue to work with that 2 glues because we're going to be adding those heavier embellishments there. And so we will be getting a nice border of that blue, and that will give it some extra detail. Now we're going to work on the mitten, and this is one of the oven mitts from the die set from Scrap Diva Designs. I'm not going to use the secondary layering piece that had the stitching etched into it because I do want to incorporate some additional layers, and I think those details might get lost in all of those layering, but I do want to add a ruffle to the top of that. And so I did cut that scallop die with a beautiful white glitter cardstock, and I will be adding 2 layers of this so that I can reach where the cuff would be and then all the way to the top. And so I've determined that I really need to cut this off so that I have 3 full scallops for the bottom layer. I'll add a little bit of that tombow to the scallop portion as well. And then I do want to line that up so it's pretty level going across and covers up the curve that's at the bottom of the cuff. And so that one will be showing from the bottom. And then I'll take this other section, it has 4 scallops, and apply that but offset so I get a nice layering detail. So it's going to be all the way at the top there. And then offset so each of the scallops will overlap. And you want to come back in, flip it over, and then just cut out the excess of that glitter cardstock. These are all outside corners, so this part is very easy. So now we've got that glitter detail added, and I do want to include some spacers so that we can begin to build some dimension. So flip this over and add some of your foam tape. I will be kicking myself later for not bringing down my titanium scissors, but I'm just gonna work through it with these. Let me know if they're a tool that you utilize in your own stash. When you've got a nice arrangement of them, making sure to cover the outside border as well as a little bit on the inside for support, then you want to remove the backing from these and adhere it to your banner section. And then I want to adhere this closer to the bottom. I have a pretty large bow with a bell created for the top, so I want to make sure to leave room for that. I do have a little bit of my double-sided adhesive showing, but we'll be able to hide that underneath my flower arrangement. And so I did create some smaller scale arrangements, and this is just one layered poinsettia with the dimensional center, some holly and loopy twine bows. I want to place this temporarily on the side, and I would normally not want to overlap, but in this instance I think it will be okay. I do want to sort of trial fit my little penguin in here to make sure that it is very visible and positioned exactly where I want. And so I did add some heavier cardstock to the back so that it will be nicely sturdy and even on the top. And then I put more of those foam spacers in between. So let's add this penguin right there. And then I'll adhere my flowers with a little hot glue. I want to be aware that I want to keep the glue in this section so that it won't show from the back. You see I was able to hide that foam tape that stuck out from the back. And then I did mention that I had a bow. I layered some different trims here, a burlap ribbon with a stitch. This is an older ribbon from May Arts, and I found a comparable one on Amazon, and I tried to order it so that I could have it in red, but it did not ship. So I guess we're going to make do with what we have for now. And then I did put a beautiful wrinkle ribbon on top, and then top that with a beautiful little white jingle bell, and that's going to go in this corner. And so I have created a nice balance. It is important to see the balance aesthetically, but also because this is going to add weight in two different corners, and so these will hang properly when you have them displayed. You want to attach that again with more hot glue, and you have that well enough over when I put the clothespin on. That's not going to interfere with that. And so I do have my additional sections created, and I will finish the finishing details exactly how I've done this one with the same elements, and so it will be very balanced going across. So now I have that last section, and I did have the sticker sheet for this collection. I found there were 2 of the snow globes and then 1 with the little penguin guy. And so I decided to flip that center section just so that it would have a little bit of extra detail. And because we're going to attach these with our clothespins, I don't have to have a running string going through the top to connect them. And so if you want to add some additional detail, you could add as little or as much as you want. You could put some sequins here or other maybe tinsel trim, but I wanted the mittens to be very obvious, and so the more you layer on top of them, the less you will notice it's a mitten. And so we're gonna use this pretty blue twine, a kind of burlap string. It's very sturdy and it has a nice texture, so I think this will be great. I'm just gonna pull off a very generous amount, if I could find the end, because it will be easier to hang and display if you have enough width to reach certain things. So instance, we have a banner at my grandson's house, and we made the very sweet little candy corns, and they have it strung across their mantle, and there's enough string to tie around some displays they have on their mantle. And so you want to make sure that there is enough string for that to stretch. And so I'm just going to find the middle and work along here. So I picked 3 of these clothespins, and they're just pretty kind of stained. They're smaller than regular clothespins, but not quite as tiny as the ones that I include for the kits. And so you do want this to be very sturdy because these do have some weight to them. And if you attach these here, you could move them along this string. So let's just add the string in the back here and put that right in that little notch. And so you can see this is going to hold that weight just fine, but you're going to be able to have some flexibility when you put this display out so that if you need it to stretch a little further, you could. And so I would do that for all of these. I think this is a nice alternative. Over the years, I have added so many different layers and details and different embellishments that it does really get over the top. And sometimes you just want something to be a little bit simpler, and I think this works pretty well for that. I also think this is a little bit more manageable if you want to create them as gifts, because you don't need to invest quite so much in all of those finishing details. But I think this is perfect, and you could probably substitute any collection for any holiday and make this kind of personal to how you want to display and decorate your home. So that's going to be all. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.